Hey there, Bill O'Leary coming to you live here Thursday for our Thursday series. Happy Thursday to you, and for some of you that may be getting a head start on the weekend, good for you. So, what is our Thirsty Thursday series? It is. Let me just check something here. Okay. So, Thirsty Thursday, it's a series that we do, every Thursday at about this time where I talk about, different topics that I might find interesting or maybe in the news that might be related to estate planning or elder law. That's what we do here at Legacy Planning Law Group. And so again, why do we call it Thirsty Thursday? Because for those of you that are thirsting for knowledge, it's for you. So if you're thirsting for knowledge, you've come to the right place. So today's topic is, how to protect your estate from nursing home costs. Well, if anybody has had experience with skilled nursing and nursing home, maybe for a loved one, you know full well how expensive it is. In fact, the average rate statewide in Florida to pay a nursing home privately is almost $10,000 a month. Well, by golly, that eats into assets pretty quickly. That quickly depletes what I like to call the family treasure, what somebody's worked so hard for their entire life. And boy, would they love to pass on some sort of legacy, maybe inheritance to the kids. And now they're having to spend it all on very expensive nursing home care. So, is there a way to protect the family legacy, the family treasure? Well, the answer is yes, there is. So, back up, there's basically three ways to pay for a skilled nursing. Uh, One is to have a special kind of insurance called long-term care insurance. It's a wonderful solution. Unfortunately, most people don't have it. It can be very expensive, although there are increasingly more and more options and solutions out there to make it more affordable to people. So if you have long-term care insurance, it's a great way to pay for at least partially pay for long-term care. But again, most people don't have that. If you don't, you want to look into that as a solution. Number two is to use your own assets to pay for it, and perhaps with some embarrassment, turning to your kids for help. Who wants to do that? The third way is to get some help. Get some help from the government, public assistance, and that's through Medicaid. Medicaid. Now, I'm sure some of you have heard of Medicaid. When I talk about Medicaid, I am, I sort of look upon Medicaid as sort of a multi-headed monster. There is the program within Medicaid that provides housing assistance. There's a program that provides assistance with food. I'm not talking about those programs. I'm talking about the long-term care program within Medicaid, which accounts for over 45 cents of every Medicaid dollar is allocated for long-term care. It's allocated to our seniors. Okay. Now, Medicaid pays for long-term care. Medicare does not. Medicare is basically an insurance program for seniors that will help pay for hospitalization, doctor bills, prescription drugs, etc. Medicare does not pay for long-term care. Best case scenario, Medicare will pay for the first 100 days. First 20 days, for sure. Maybe the next 80 if certain conditions are met. But even after the best case scenario, on day 101, Medicare is no longer paying. And so the family is often now faced with the prospect of writing a check on day 101. So Medicaid is an option then to pay for that long-term care. Do all of your assets to get there and to qualify? And the answer is no. Most people think that's the only option, is to have to spend down everything that they have. That is not the only option. So Medicaid is what's called a means-tested program. They look at two principal things. They look at your health and they look at your finances. So in plain English, you have to be sick and broke. Sick and broke. I'm not going to focus on sort of the sick side of the equation. I'll focus on the financial side. So within that, Medicaid looks at two things: income and assets. Income and assets, you can't have too much of either. Okay, looking at income, an individual applying for Medicaid can't make too much income. And right now in 2021 in Florida, that number is round number a little bit over $2,300 a month. So if more income is being earned each month than that amount, the individual does not qualify. But there's an easy fix, and that's by putting in place a certain type of trust called a qualified income trust. So as long as that is put in place, then the income issue is solved. And oh, by the way, when we're talking about working with a married couple, and if one spouse needs the long-term care and the other does not, and if the spouse that does not need the long-term care, what is known as the community spouse, doesn't have much income, there may be an opportunity to shift some of the spouse's income, the spouse that needs the care, shift some of that income over to the community spouse instead of having to allocate all of that institutionalized spouse's income to the facility. Okay, so that's the income planning tends to be fairly straightforward. It's on the asset side of the equation that the real sort of legal art takes place. There, you can't have too many assets. So, what is that amount? $2,000. $2,000. That's the asset limit. But that's $2,000 of what's known as countable assets. Well, that would suggest that there's some assets that Medicaid doesn't count. That doesn't count against that $2,000 limit. A house that's your primary residence is a classic example. Doesn't count towards the limit. So if you have a house, assuming it doesn't have more than a little less than $600,000 of equity value in it, then you can keep that and still qualify for Medicaid. Excuse me. Now, what if we're working with a married couple, and again, one spouse needs the care and the other spouse does not? Well, does that mean that the other spouse, the community spouse, the well spouse, if you will, has to get down to that same $2,000 limit? And the answer is no. So Medicaid has said, look, we don't want to impoverish the community spouse. So the community spouse, although subject to an asset limit, that limit's much higher than the $2,000. This year, 2021, it's around $130,000, just ballpark it, okay? So the community spouse can keep a whole lot more. Now, it's not a ton, but it's certainly more than the $2,000. So how then do we go about helping somebody qualify for Medicaid, but in a way that's going to preserve as many assets as possible? Are there things that can be done short of spending down? And the answer is yes, yes. So I like to tell people, look upon me as sort of the Ace Hardware tool guy, okay? And I work in the tool department. And you come to the department and wanting information about this tool or that tool. I have a lot of tools in my toolbox that I can use with Medicaid planning to help people protect assets. And depending on the situation, and each situation is different, I may need to use one, decide it's best and it's most efficient to use two tools. Tools, again, with the goal of protecting as many assets as possible. That is what we call Medicaid planning, and specifically Medicaid crisis planning. What does crisis planning mean? Well, it is the situation where mom or dad or husband or wife, they need to go into skilled nursing. Maybe they're in the hospital. We know they're not coming home, and maybe they're gonna, have a stopover in rehab, but again, they're not coming home. They're gonna end up in the nursing home. And as we know, Medicare, best case, only pays for the first 100 days. So a light bulb goes off. The family's in crisis. Oh no, we may have to write a personal check on day 101. And we've got the people at the facility telling us, hey, you've just got to spend down all your assets and write us checks until you get down to that low asset limit. And they ask, is there anything else that can be done short of depleting the family treasure? And the answer is yes. Medicaid crisis planning is the answer. Coming to the tool man with the toolbox is the answer. And so that is one of the types of planning we do here at Legacy Planning Law Group is Medicaid crisis planning. So if you'd like to know more about Medicaid crisis planning and how to protect your estate from the nursing home, and if you'd like to know how we can help, I would encourage you to go ahead and schedule a free 15-minute complimentary phone call with us. You can book it through our Facebook page. Go to the Book Now button. You can call us 904-880-5554, or just Google us, Legacy Planning Law Group, and you'll find us. So, hey, if you've enjoyed this talk, I'm going to ask if you could like this video on Facebook, and better yet, if you could share it with your friends to sort of get out the word, all the better. So again, I hope you've enjoyed this talk on protecting your estate from nursing home cost. I plan on giving another Facebook Live talk next Thursday at about this time. Again, as part of our Thirsty Thursday series, same day and time, different topic from week to week. So if you're thirsting for knowledge, we will quench your thirst. So this is Bill O'Leary signing off from now on behalf of everybody here at Team Legacy. I want you to go out and make it a great day.